All right, we are back with another edition of COFOH Live Undead, and I'm your host, Daniel Crosier. Ugh. So sorry that you guys are all stuck with me. I am here with amazing talent, the fabulous Nick Mason, the Living Dead drummer. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing great, actually. I'm doing really good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty stellar. It's fantastic to be able to talk to you. You're in LA right now. How's LA treating you?
LA's good. LA, aside from obvious things going on, things beyond our control, LA is good. So the weather's nice. It's like 80-something degrees out this morning, so I can't really, this morning, afternoon, whatever time it is, so I can't complain too much.
Does LA really need like weathermen anyway? It's always sunny, you know?
It typically is, and I'm fine with that. We had a pretty rainy winter this year, which wasn't too bad. But yeah, we don't really need weather guys. They're just gonna be like, it's hot. It's hot today. Wear sunscreen.
yeah. That's probably pretty good. So Nick, normally what I ask everybody is, first out of the gate is, of course, who are you? Where do you come from? And how did you get the moniker, the Living Dead drummer?
I guess I come from LA now. I've been here, for the last decade, but I grew up actually in Western New York, in the suburbs of Buffalo.
Cool.
So I lived there and grew up there, kind of thing, and eventually made my way out west and been living here for the last 10 or so years, almost 11 years at this point. And from the title, I'm a drummer, obviously. That's what I do for a living, is I play the drums, which I'm very fortunate to be one of the few that gets to do that for a living. And the whole Living Dead drummer thing came actually from a gig that I did a few years ago, where it was an event at the NAMM show, the annual NAMM show in January. And I think it was like 4 years ago, maybe, the Coffin Case company, they make coffin-shaped guitar cases and stuff around. They've been around forever. It was their 20th anniversary, and I got a phone call about a month beforehand from the owner of the company and said, hey, we're going to do a big 20th anniversary thing at the NAMM show this year, and I want you to be a part of it. And I said, that's great, but you make coffin-shaped guitar cases, and I'm a drummer, so what am I going to do? And he's like, I don't know, we'll figure it out together. So, over the course of a month of planning and stuff like that, we figured out a game plan to have me involved with it. And the end result was myself and another friend of mine playing drums on stage at this big event that had some really huge acts playing. John 5, his solo act was headlining. Coffin Case always does an annual fashion show every year. And then there was other bands playing. LA Guns was playing. Beasto Blanco was playing. Some other people and stuff like that too. And so for the fashion show portion, my drums were set up on one side of the stage. My buddy had his drums set up on the other side of the stage, and we were all done up in like corpse paint. And like, they said they wanted it to look like we had just crawled out of a grave and crawled to our drum sets, kind of thing. And during the fashion show, the runway models are walking out basically to like metal. And, they're doing catwalk stuff to, Black Sabbath and Pantera and stuff, you know what I mean?
That's a nice change of pace for a fashion show.
It was cool. And so we just kind of played drums to that stuff. So I was on the side of the stage playing, drums along to Pantera and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And it was from that show that the name Living Dead Drummer got tossed around a bit in reference to what we were doing. And I just, like, the light bulb went off over my head, and I was like, I'm I'm taking that. That's
Nice.
mine now. And I looked it up. I did all my investigation on it. It's never been used. Those three words have never been put together. So I instantly like bought the domain. I registered everything, changed all my social media over. I just went to town. I even like downloaded apps just to get the name and then delete the app, kind of thing, stuff I don't even use.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I had my stamp on it, and I called dibs on it.
Nice.
And I could register it to myself, and there would be no dispute, kind of thing. And I just thought it was such a cool name, and it's a perfect marriage of, you know, two of my passions, one being drumming, obviously, and the other one is I've always been a big fan of horror movies ever since I was young. Cool. So this was like the perfect marriage of like, I'm a fan of horror, and I'm a drummer, and ta-da, here we go, you know.
Nice. That's wonderful. You know, when you were younger, is that when you got into drumming, when you were a kid?
Yeah, actually, yeah. My whole family, on my mom's side of the family, anyway, all of them drummers. All of them.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah. So my mother, her brother, their father, my grandfather, and then a bunch of my cousins. And like to the point where like everyone in the family who had a kid, one of their kids was a drummer, or someone married a drummer, or you know what I mean? Like all of them drummers.
You have your own drum corps. Holy cow. That's fantastic.
Good. And it was cool. So like I didn't really have much of a say in the matter. Like my uncle gave me a snare drum when I was 2. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like, welcome to the family business.
Nice.
So, but I didn't really start taking it serious and actually start taking lessons and learning how to play until I was about 10. That's when I decided to start actually taking lessons and to learn for real. And then I just never looked back after that. I started taking lessons at 10, and I just kept it going. And I you know, was able to make a career out of it.
And was that initially what brought you out to LA, you know, those 10 or 11 years ago? Yeah.
I had built up, you know, at least what I would consider a fairly decent career to that point. You know, when I was in Buffalo, I was earning a living as a drummer, you know, and occasionally I'd have a part-time job on the side or something like that, but it was always something music related. I've only had like one real 9-to-5 job in my entire life, and it was only for a couple of years out of college, and it was in the music industry and involved drums. So, you know, so I don't know how much you can even say that was a real job, but I was playing full time and teaching lessons at like half a dozen locations around Western New York, and touring with bands and stuff like that, and I kind of hit like the glass ceiling in town where I've played every club. Everybody in town knows me. I've played every major venue that there is. And sorry, I'm sitting next to it, so it's extra loud. Probably there's a fire truck going by. Yeah, I had played like all the major venues in town. One of the last places that I actually performed at before I moved to LA was the baseball stadium there, you know. Oh, wow. And I sidestepped. I tried New York City first, and I moved there for a little bit, and because I figured, well, I really wanted to come to LA, but New York is closer. It's only 8 hours away. I can still come home for holidays and visit family whenever I want. Yeah. So I figured, well, that's closer to home, so let me go there. And it didn't quite work out. Like I didn't enjoy it there. Yeah. You know, I saw it as kind of a sidestep. So I moved back home for like a year and a half, and just like took every tour I could get my hands on and saved up all that money and then came here. Nice. So, and yeah, it was basically just to further advance my career. Like I said, I kind of hit that ceiling in town where I literally can't go, and I can't go past this while living here. I need to move into a bigger market in order to continue to progress.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, why not go to the biggest market?
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Come to LA.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wow. That's pretty cool. It's fantastic to hear that, you know, your family is just so intertwined with drumming, and that you've been able to make such a, you know, a successful, you know, run of it. When you came out to LA, you know, what kind of gigs were you able to get? More touring, or was it just a continuation of that, or like studio and you know? Yeah, I saw on your website too. You also do a lot of education. It's a big question. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. When I first moved here, there was already a band that I had been working with here, and I had been flying from New York to LA to work with them anyway. So when I got here, it was like, all right, now I don't have to jump on a plane every time we want to play a gig. So I was able to continue working with them a little bit when I first got here, and I just kind of tried to hit the pavement running, and went out to meet people. I had a cousin living here at the time who was also a drummer.
Of course.
And he had already been in LA for like 20 years at that point, I think. And so he already had the ins and outs of town. And so I used to go out with him a lot and stuff. And he introduced me to his friends and other musicians. And there was a bunch of other handful of musicians out here that I already knew, that I had known for a number of years already. And a lot of them kind of same thing. Literally the day after I showed up in LA, I got a phone call from a very well-known, well-respected drummer who was a friend of mine who had been telling me to come out here anyway.
Yeah.
And I answered the phone, and he's singing Rolling Stones when I answered the phone. And I'm like, what? And he's like, what are you doing tonight? I said, I'm unpacking boxes. I just got here last night. And he goes, well, these are all the songs you could be playing tonight. Why don't you come sit in with my band?
Oh, nice.
And I said, okay. And I said, tell me where you're at. And I dropped everything, and I drove to this bar that he was playing at. And he was playing just covers that night, but everybody in the band was somebody. It was like, oh, that's Janet Jackson's guitar player, and that's
Nice.
you know, Fleetwood Mac's percussionist over there, and the keyboard player played with Michael Jackson. Like, everybody was somebody. And he's like,
Wow.
oh yeah, you know, when we go up for our second set, go up and play a couple of the first songs. And I was like, are they gonna be okay with this? So I did it. I got up and we played the Beatles and stuff like that, you know?
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so I started connecting with local musicians and started putting things together that way. I landed a teaching gig about a month after I got here to a brand new music school that wasn't even open yet.
No.
So once they opened up a couple of months later, then I was able to start rebuilding my teaching practice, because that was something I was doing in New York that I really genuinely enjoyed doing. But moving here, I was starting over. So, you know, it was gradual, and I had a lot of people recommending me, oh, if you want to try and get auditions, talk to this guy, call that guy.
Yeah.
So I had friends out here that were kind of trying to push me in the right directions. And about a year and a half after I moved here is when I landed like my first real gig on, you know, with a group that was on a major label and stuff like that. And then that opened doors. Once I had that credit on my resume, that started opening up other doors, and the snowball's just been rolling downhill ever since.
Nice.
So
Downhill in a good way.
downhill in a good way. No, the snowball's rolling downhill, getting larger and larger and larger. My footprint has been growing, and you know, if it wasn't progressing in the direction that I wanted it to, I wouldn't still be here a decade later. You know, I would have left a long time ago. But the advice I was always given was, if you can make it 2 years here, you'll be fine.
Cool.
But you got to make it past the first 2 years.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was like 1.5 years when I landed the first real gig.
Nice.
Once I got, you know, and I was playing local bands that whole first 1.5 years, you know, just playing the club scene, playing the Sunset Strip and stuff like that. But it was all just independent, you know, garage band stuff. And then that first real gig with like I said, the band who was on a major label, that was a 1.5 years into me being here. And, you know, I was like, okay, I did it in under 2 years.
Nice. Good.
So I think I'll be all right.
Nice. That's absolutely wonderful. Normally when you're playing after the NAMM gig, right? Do you normally, you know, now do you get up on stage all made up?
No, I mean, I do a fair amount of gigs where I am wearing makeup and stuff like that, but it's always specific to the gig kind of thing. I don't go and do that for just because. You know, that coffin case thing, I was all done up in face paint for it, but that's certainly not the first time I've had to do something like that. And I think adopting that Living Dead drummer name has just only attracted more types of gigs like that.
Yeah.
So now I definitely wear makeup on stage, you know, a good portion of the time. But it's always because that's what's necessary for that specific gig or that specific band or something like that. Right. You know, if it's not appropriate for it, I'm not going to do it.
Sure. Well, on your website, I saw that you had done some work with Shania Twain, so I'd imagine that would not be appropriate.
No, that would definitely not be appropriate. I'm not going to be wearing a bunch of makeup or eyeliner or anything if I'm playing country or blues or,
right.
You know, even most rock gigs and stuff like that, I wouldn't do it for. It's really just like, I want to fit the look of the band I'm playing with on stage. If the band is all doing face paint, I'm going to do face paint. If they're not, I'm not.
Yeah.
So, that's, you know.
Yeah. Oh shoot, I had something and then it completely lost my mind. Jeez. It's one of those end of the day things, like, oh my God, what's going on?
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about earlier about you know, COVID-19 and all the quarantine stuff and how everything is canceled, and that kind of put a damper on a lot of your touring for the year. You know, what's you know, how is that adapting to something like that?
Well, yeah. So touring for the entire year is pretty much not going to happen. You know, some people I know are still holding out that maybe end of the year, November, December, we can hit the road, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I had a bunch of stuff booked in the spring that is now all just, you know, airline credit.
Lots of credit too, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of airline credit. I can fly on quite a few different airlines for nothing at the moment. So yeah, with live music being shut down, there's not going to be probably any touring this year, which is it's a bummer because I had things in place to make it a big year.
Yeah.
I had just started working with 2 groups, literally like early March, like right before this happened.
Ooh.
That both have albums coming out that were supposed to come out in the spring. And then their record labels were going to be like sticking us on a bus for the summer and fall and foreseeable future. And when this happened, it was like, okay, the labels decided not to release the albums. They're holding on to it because they're like, well, there's no point putting it out if you can't go out on the road and push it.
Sure.
So that just put a big giant stop sign on everything. Now, ironically enough, those records are being released this month, both of them.
Yeah.
One is being released, I think, in like 2 days, and the other one's at the end of the month. And I think the labels just didn't want to sit on it anymore, and they're just like, "Nah, we're just going to put this out, and then we'll stick you on the road next year."
Yeah.
So, but that was supposed to be like, you know, the summer was going to be spent between those two bands on the road. And I had some stuff already booked in the springtime for April and May. All of that went away.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
you know, again, just before this all kind of happened, I was in talks to do something else that could have possibly taken the entire summer through the end of December. And would have been a steady gig throughout, you know, the majority of the year. Again, plug got pulled on that. So I adapted really quick.
Okay.
And not everybody has done that, but I don't know. When this first happened, like mid-March, when they first shut everything down, it was said, oh, only 2 weeks. And so I was kind of under the impression like, all right, 2 weeks, we can make this work for 2 weeks. But something in my subconscious must have told me like, it ain't gonna be 2 weeks.
No.
Because instinctively I went and started buying all kinds of recording equipment. And it's stuff that I had already, it was all like in the shopping cart anyway. I just hadn't pulled the trigger on it because I didn't really have much of a use for it yet.
Right.
And for whatever reason, just, you know, that same week, within days of everything closing, I was like, well, no better time. So I just started buying all this recording equipment that I intended on getting at some point, and did a complete makeover and upgrade to my studio.
Oh, cool.
I have a studio here in LA. It's just a private room that I was mainly using as storage for my equipment, and just a place for me to practice, like just daily, you know, wood shedding kind of stuff. And I completely turned it into a fully functioning recording studio and lesson house kind of thing. I just started buying all kinds of stuff, and just did this big upgrade. I took my students that I was teaching in person, shifted them to an online platform.
Oh, great.
And I have a setup with my entire drum kit is all mic'd and going through preamps and processors and stuff like that. I have multiple webcams set up from different angles. So when I'm doing the lesson, I'm like talking through a headset mic, the entire kit's mic'd, everything's already mixed so they can hear the drums clear, but my voice is louder. I have them coming through separate mixers, so if I need to hear them louder, I can turn them up and down. I can feed them audio. If they want to see a side angle close up on my hands, I just got to push a button. If they want the overhead camera to see the whole kit, I just push a button. Like, I completely overhauled everything, which was cool. And then rigged all that stuff up to do full professional multi-track recording also. So that way I could start offering remote recording sessions to people. Because prior to that, I've always just like, if I'm going to do a recording session for somebody, it's like, all right, well, I pack up the kit and drive to a studio.
Right.
And now I don't have to do that. Now it's just like, all right, give me 10 minutes and let me turn the lights on.
Nice.
And so,
cool.
So now I can do all of that from home on my own, and just had to give myself, you know, I was sort of okay with recording software and stuff like that, but I never really went deep in on it because I didn't have to. So I just had to give myself like a crash course in audio engineering and get myself up and on my feet like that. And thankfully, I guess the product I'm turning out of the studio, people are okay with, because I keep getting more in. So I've probably played on more records in the last 3 months than I have in the last 2 years.
Oh, excellent. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there any like records, anything coming out that you can name or you mentioned the two bands that you were supposed to tour with, where the albums are coming out pretty soon.
Yeah. So I can name names of most of the stuff. Some of them I can't because I just might not remember.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like, wait, what was that guy's name? What was that one song for? But then there's other stuff too where it's like, all right, it's not released yet or whatever. So there's a bunch of stuff. So the albums that are coming out this month, one is, and these originally, like, I wasn't supposed to say anything, but they said it first.
Oh,
and
okay.
And once they said it, I was like, okay, I think this is all right now.
Right.
So, Michael Grant, who's a guitar player, used to play in LA Guns and stuff like that. He's got a solo record coming out. I think it's in 2 days. I think it's this Friday. It comes. His album is Michael Grant and the Assassins. That's his solo project. I'm not on the album. The album was already done and recorded prior to my involvement. But we jammed. We've been talking about jamming together for a long time. I've played a bunch of shows where I'm playing in one band and we were playing with LA Guns and he was the guitar player at the time. So we met that way and just kind of stayed in touch and stayed in contact and stuff. And we'd always talked about doing something. And so he called me up early this year and was like, hey, the album's coming out in the spring, and then we're going to be touring and stuff. You want to come in jam? So I learned a bunch of the songs. We jammed together, and he's like, all right, great, cool. We'll set up a photo shoot in 2 weeks. And then lockdown. So his album got pushed, but it's coming out, I think, this Friday. He's already got one single out with a music video that came out about a month ago, which is on YouTube and stuff. So, that was one of the tours I was supposed to do and will probably be doing once the world opens back up. At the end of this month, an industrial band named DK0.
Okay.
Their album is coming out, I believe it's on July 31st. That's another one that, the week before everything went to hell, I went and filmed a music video with them.
Oh, nice.
We got introduced through a mutual friend. He, a guy hit me up at Davey Suicide. He's big in like the goth rock scene and stuff.
Yeah.
He hit me up. He hit me up and he's like, hey man, this band is looking for a new drummer. And I had already heard of them.
Yeah.
And we had played some festivals together actually.
Oh,
and so he put us in touch. And the funny thing was, they were like, yeah, we know who you are. We've seen you play, but we didn't call you ahead of time because we thought you lived overseas, because the band they saw me playing with is a band from Europe that I work for. And I was like, no, they live there. I live here. So they hit me up in March and were like, we're shooting this music video. Do you want to be in it? Sure. So I went and shot their video. That video just came out last week.
Oh, nice.
And then their album comes out at the end of this month on Cleopatra Records.
Oh, cool.
And then, hope end of the year, but probably mostly next year, I'll be touring with them as their live drummer.
Awesome.
So those are the albums that are coming out right now. There's a bunch of stuff that I've done that hasn't been released yet. I've done a lot of singles for independent artists, some of them here in LA, some of them in other states. I just wrapped drums on a new record with the Rhythm Coffin, which is a band that I've been playing for the last 3 or 4 years here in LA. And they're a horror-themed band. But it's very like, a lot of makeup. But it's very Scooby-Doo kind of horror, where it's like, I describe it as like Kiss meets the B-52s.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah. All their music is super upbeat, super fun, very reminiscent of B-52s because it's like a male singer, two female singers kind of thing, that same dynamic. But all the songs are like about werewolves and zombies and stuff like that. It's all very tongue-in-cheek humor. Like we could easily play a horror festival just as well as we could play a 10-year-old's birthday party.
Oh, that's pretty fun. Wow.
Right.
That sounds great.
We decided, you know, well, we can't play right now. We had to postpone everything. So what can we do to stay active? Well, let's record a new album. So I just finished the drums on that last week. I think they have the guitars done and most of the vocals done already too. So hopefully that will be coming out in the fall.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
I'm in the middle of doing a record with a band called Flake. They're kind of a early 2000s new metal sort of sounding band. Okay. And they've been around since then. I haven't been in the band that long. I've only been in the band maybe about 5 years. But their whole plan was to release a double album that was going to consist of half of it was going to be brand new material, and the other half was going to be some of their older material from before I was around, but done as like kind of MTV unplugged acoustic versions.
Oh, neat. That's
cool. We did a couple years ago. We did spend a few months playing around town. Playing all their songs acoustic. And it was a lot of fun. And because we didn't change certain things, we didn't change the drumming. Like I was still expected to go out on stage and just hit as hard as I usually do. Yeah. And they didn't change the vocal style. So it's still very aggressive, a lot of screaming and stuff. The only thing they changed was they put acoustic guitars in their hands instead of plugged in ones. That's the only thing. And it sounds, oh my God, it sounded so cool.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, screw it. Let's go back through a handful of songs from our old catalog that sound the best in an acoustic setting, and let's do acoustic versions, and we'll release a double album. Cool. So we did the first half of it last October. We went to a studio, and I did the drums on all the new material. And then the shutdown happens, and they live in different areas, too. One guy's like way down deep in Orange County. The singer, he lives in South Carolina. So, so we would just have to get on a plane anytime we were going to play shows. We were supposed to play House of Blues in Vegas, like in the spring, and had to cancel it. Yeah. But the decision came in of like, all right, well, we're halfway done with a record. What do we do? I got an idea. Let's finish it.
That's right.
So, so I've been working on that. I think I have two, maybe three more songs to do on that one. On the acoustic stuff, all the new material's done. The acoustic stuff we're about halfway through. So once I wrap the drums on that, then that's going to get all shipped off to the engineer and producers we were working with on the new material, and they're going to do all the mixing and stuff like that. So that'll probably come out next year.
Cool. That's wonderful. You have no shortage of projects to do while everything's shut down. The touring stuff might be unfortunate, but man, creativity just does not cease.
I've been very lucky. I really I'm trying not to take any of it for granted. I've been very, very, very lucky. I think I just got on it at the right time with like, okay, we're not going to be able to go play live. What as a musician can we do? Well, we can record material. That's so right. I've been working on a country album with a friend of mine up in Canada. Wow. I've been, That's awesome. That's stuff cool. That's like real outlaw country stuff too. It's awesome.
Neat.
And I've done a handful of singles for independent artists and stuff like that. Some of them, I just got another email this morning from a producer that I did one project with a couple of weeks ago. Another one of his clients hit me up and said, hey, I've got a single I'm working on. I need some drums kind of thing.
Cool.
So I've been fortunate. My schedule has been pretty full. I've never not had something to work on, which is nice. And I just keep cranking out drum tracks for various people all over the place.
Oh, that's cool. Earlier you mentioned that you grew up on horror movies and stuff. What were you really like a fan of? What was part of that that meal of horror movies?
I think when I was younger, I was big into like the slasher stuff.
Oh, okay.
But the staples though, like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of revere Halloween as like the definitive godfather of all slasher type movies. Jason movies are always just so much fun. The Nightmare on Elm Street movies have a really special place in my heart because when I was a kid, I actually lived on Elm Street.
Oh.
And I lived there at the time that the original movie was produced too.
Oh, geez.
So it was kind of neat, being that in the early 80s, living on Elm Street and that movie, A Nightmare on Elm Street, comes out.
Right.
So Freddy's got a real special place in my heart. So 80s slasher stuff was always really big with me. The horror franchise stuff, I really, really love the Hellraiser movies. And that I'm not one of the people that's like, oh, I like the original, but all the sequels suck. It's like, no, I own the box sets and I have the entire collection and I will watch any one of them at any given point. Nice. Some I like better than others, but I don't think any of them are like, don't watch that one, skip that one. I'll watch them all.
Right.
That's what I think I started with when I was younger and what I really, really liked. And I still love that stuff. But as I got older, I had a greater appreciation for some of the classics. I kind of started and went backwards. So if the slasher stuff was big when I was a kid, then from there I started drifting into like the Hammer stuff. Oh. Right? And from there took a step back into like the classic Universal stuff.
Wow, that's an interesting little circle you did.
Yeah, so like I did a backwards progression.
Yeah.
And so I'm a really, really now to this point I'm a really, really big fan of Universal horror. Nice. And again, own like the box sets of like every Dracula, every Frankenstein, every Wolfman kind of thing, and it's just the old black and white ones are probably my favorite.
That's cool. I think the last ones of that I think I watched was Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, and I think the Wolfman was in that one too.
I think I own like 2 copies of that for some reason too.
Oh wow, that's cool. I
keep getting I keep getting these like collector's box sets of the old Universal stuff, and a lot of them include the same features. So like I have 3 copies of Dracula for some reason. Oh. I have like
the original Lugosi Dracula.
Yeah. I have that. I have it on DVD, and then I have like a collector's box set DVD that has a bunch of behind the scenes documentaries and a bunch of bonus stuff like Abbott and Costello meet, Frankenstein and stuff like that. And then I have the Blu-ray version, which has all the same stuff on it.
Yeah.
And one day I'm just looking through my DVD rack and I'm like, why do I own 3 copies of this? One's not even open. Where did I get this from?
That's pretty awesome. In fact, today, a teaser trailer of the new Halloween movie just dropped.
I didn't watch it yet, but I did see it. I don't know. Like I said, Godfather of all slasher horror is Halloween.
Right.
I didn't enjoy the new one as much as everybody else did.
No, that's understandable. I thought it was good, but
it wasn't bad by any means. I've watched it more than once. Like I saw it in the theater with friends when it first came out. I enjoyed it. I've watched it again on like HBO or whatever, and but it didn't do anything. First of all,
nothing new.
I didn't like the retcon.
Okay.
I really, really, really dislike that. I like a continuation. If you're going to make it 10 sequels, I like a continuation.
Right.
And that's where like the Child's Play franchise really hit the nail on the head, is that even the late movies that only came out in the last couple of years that were like direct to Netflix,
Right.
all of them kept really close continuity with one another, and they all referenced the previous movies. So if you watch the newest one, which was like the 6th one, not the remake,
Right.
the newest, it referenced every single Child's Play movie that had ever happened before that, and acknowledged that all of the events of those movies happened. They've redone Halloween 4 times.
True. Yeah.
And
yeah, you've got the Rob Zombie movies. You've got this new batch. God, what I can't remember. Was H2O?
that was a retcon too. So they did one, like, this, I'm super nerding out on it. So the continuity went like 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
Then they started over with H2O. So then it went 1, 2, H2O, Resurrection. And I will say Resurrection sucked, and I won't watch that one. Then they cut it off there, and Rob Zombie did too.
Right.
And the first one, okay, but he took away the mystique of Michael Myers by giving him a backstory as like just a kid from a broken home, which, yeah, who wouldn't grow up to be a serial killer in that situation?
True.
And then the sequel to that, I saw once, I half paid attention to it. It couldn't hold my attention. So then they started over again, and with the new one where it went 1, 2, then the new one. And it was like, or no, it ignored 2. It went 1, then the new one. And that's what I didn't like at all, was like, why are you ignoring all the sequels for the second time?
Yeah.
Like, why are you trying to go back and erase history? It happened. Deal with it. You might not like it, but it still happened. And the idea is to evolve from that, not pretend it didn't exist.
Right.
I liked all the sequels. I liked 4, 5, 6. I will go back and rewatch 4, 5, and 6. I like those. I liked H2O. Although if you watch it now, it's very dated. It's like very typical, like mid-90s slasher movie.
Do you find that those hold up for you? Even the
4, 5, and 6 do.
Yeah.
H2O, like I said, it's real dated. I still enjoy it, but it's real dated. But even that ignored the previous 3 sequels. And it's like, stop ignoring it. They happened. Stop.
Right.
And the newest one, taking away the fact that they're related, that was like the one thing that glued them all together, at least in the previous ones. Now they're saying they're not related. And I'm like, come on. That was such a great plot twist. That was such great motivation for Michael Myers to keep coming back. Now you've taken his motivation away. And the new one just did the greatest hits of all the previous sequels. Every major scene in that movie was like, that's from part 4.
Oh,
that's
interesting.
From part 6.
Think about that.
That's from H2O. That's from part 5. Every single scene.
Wow.
Was just blatantly ripping off scenes from the other movies.
What did you think about Halloween 3? Because in my mind, like, you've done all these films with Michael Myers. Whether you're continuing the story, retconning the story, or completely reinventing it, and trying to start something new. But like with Halloween 3, it's just like, wow, this could be its own little, like, an anthology series that exists in the same world as Michael Myers.
That was the original idea, was to start doing anthologies and stuff. And I think if they would have done that right away with Halloween 2 and not done a sequel and started a brand new thing there, I think it would have probably worked better. But because you did an immediate sequel to the first one and then tried to do an anthology on the third one, I think that's what threw everybody for a loop to discard that movie and for them to go back to the well in the fourth one. I don't mind Halloween 3. Admittedly, I've only seen it a handful of times, but I I don't dislike it at all. You know, I think I need to watch it. I watched it last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I need to re-watch it again.
Yeah.
Soon. They're doing a showing of it at coming up at there's a little art gallery. Get this.
Oh, cool.
There's a house that's converted into a horror themed art gallery
That's
next
cool.
door to the Myers house. To the actual house, Michael Myers' actual house from the original Halloween movie is now like a chiropractor's office in Pasadena. And the house next door is a horror themed art gallery.
Oh my God.
And they do all kinds of different events and stuff like that throughout the year. And for the summer, because, you know, art galleries and stuff have been closed, once things started to reopen, they've started doing like these little backyard movie screenings, and they got a projector back there and a drop down screen. And it's real small. I went for the 4th of July weekend. They played Jaws.
Oh, cool.
And, you know, they only allowed 15 people in. And, you know, so that way everyone could have a picnic and sit on a blanket bring some drinks and food and stuff and sit 6 feet apart from one another. So they only allow 15 people in. And I went and saw Jaws for the 4th of July, because that's my 4th of July movie. And then I think coming up, and I'm not sure when, but I know coming up in the next couple of weeks, they're going to play Halloween 3. So I want to go to that so I can rewatch it.
That sounds fantastic, especially being able to like sit there and watch it with an audience that you can, you know, interact with. I think that
and a like-minded audience. They're all there for the same reason. They're all there because they love that movie, you know?
Yeah. What was it? Like last year, I think last November, we've got out here at the C Center, just on Colfax outside downtown Denver. A friend of mine actually Scream. It's a whole curated film series there. It's not necessarily just horror; it's genre films. But they brought out Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing that as a kid, you know, like in my teens, not really thinking that much of it. And then, you know, but seeing it on the big screen with a crowd, it's just such a much more engaging and enticing experience too.
It's so much better. They do in the summertime here, like not this summer, but in the summertime here, they do movies every Saturday night at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Oh, fantastic.
And yeah, you go and you kind of tailgate the event. You go early afternoon, you sit out on the front lawn they have like the line set up. You sit out on the front lawn, bring some lawn chairs and a picnic, and you know, usually go get a pizza from the place down the street and a cooler full of beers or whatever. Yeah. And then they let everybody in once it starts getting closer to dark, and you go through the cemetery, and they have this big area set up, this big lawn area set up, and they project movies on the side of the building. And you sit there in this massive audience and watch whatever movie. And they do all kinds of stuff too. Last summer I went and saw Beetlejuice.
Oh, that's fun.
I've seen Spinal Tap there.
No.
I went to I don't know if it was last year or the year before, it was the 20th anniversary of The Fifth Element. And went to the 20th anniversary showing, and they brought out the director, Milla Jovovich, and Chris Tucker.
Wow.
So they brought out the stars and the director of the movie to come do a little introduction for it ahead of time. And then these people just sit down and watch it with you and stuff like that. Like, everyone's there to see the same movies and to have a good time. And they usually do, there's one little area they set up for photo ops, and they'll have some cool backdrops and stuff like that tie into the movie. They had some cool ones set up for Beetlejuice, so you can get your photo taken. They have a DJ playing music as everyone kind of comes in, and then again afterwards as everyone's kind of leaving at night. And they do, I think there's one weekend during the summer where they do like an overnight party where they play like 3 movies in a row.
Nice.
So you're there pretty much all night. And one year they did it where it was like 3 vampire movies or something like that.
Oh, that's
and it was
cool.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
I forget what the movies were. If it was like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Lost Boys, and
Cool.
The Hunger, or something ridiculous. I don't remember what it
Bill
was. But
Schumacher just passed away too.
yeah, just last week. So the Hollywood Forever Cemetery does really cool stuff like that all summer long.
That's cool. Yeah, the Fairmount Cemetery, just over there, just bordering on Stapleton. They used to do that as well. I think just before they did this big renovation. So my girlfriend would take her niece, and she was all goth, and I think they might have. I know they played a lot of Tim Burton movies. And then I think they might have played like Return of the Living Dead. A little bit on the nose, but very appropriate.
Still cool.
Yeah.
Still cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. You're gonna have to give me the information for the horror themed gallery, because I think that's one thing that we might be missing here in Denver.
Yeah, and super cool. And it's so it's a converted house where the bedrooms are set up almost as like photo displays. Like one bedroom is all dedicated to Halloween, and they have like a mannequin with the sheet over them and the glasses kind of thing, and the Judith Meyer tombstone, and then all the framed pictures on the walls are like, stills from the film and production and stuff like that.
Oh.
And then the main like gallery thing would be converted, whatever like the living room / dining room kind of area would be.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do themes. So right now it's Stephen King themed.
Oh, cool.
So all of the art in there is Stephen King inspired. And it's like a regular art gallery where it's independent artists from the area. They bring a piece in kind of thing. It goes up on the wall, and then you can buy it if you want. Everything's got a price tag on it. And, they've done some cool stuff. They did something last summer where I forget what the theme was. It might have been Halloween or something like that. And they had a Michael Myers cosplayer there taking photos with people. And out in the backyard area, they had vendors and stuff like that for a weekend. And they had this, kind of outdoor flea market thing going on in the backyard for 2 days. And really cool stuff. It's called Sugar Mint Gallery.
Nice.
And it's spelled MYNT, Sugar Mint that way.
Okay.
But yeah, it's literally next door to the Myers house. And actually, like, all the houses in that neighborhood were like all the original filming locations from Halloween. So like 2 blocks south of there is Laurie Strode's house. A couple streets
cool.
over there is the shrubs that they walked by that they saw Michael Myers hiding behind. And then I just found out a block up the street on the same road is one of the filming locations for What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, I love that movie. I love the series. It's
the exterior wide angle shots of their house are this one house on a corner a block up from the Myers house.
Oh my God.
I didn't know that until the other day. And I was like, oh my God, because I love that show too.
Yeah, it's so great. Nick, with your enthusiasm for horror films, have you ever worked on like a musical score for a film or a project like that?
Not exactly. I've been on songs. I've played drums on songs that have been included in a movie kind of thing. There, years ago, I was like in this punk band that we got hired by a film company to specifically write and record a song for the movie. And they paid for us to shoot a music video, and we shot the video in like a haunted theme park kind of thing, like one of those pop-up haunts that happens. Well, there was one in town that it was there all year. It was closed, but it was still in the same location. So they rented the place out. We filmed the music video in there. Nice. They sent us a DVD, and they paid for everything. They paid the recording studio and everything. They sent us a DVD of the music video, and also they placed our song as the opening credits to this horror movie. Sweet. So they sent us on the DVD was also the opening credits to the movie with our song. We were so excited. Then they asked us to play at the premiere. And cool. They did the premiere in this old abandoned train station that was one of their filming locations and stuff like that. And we played the premiere, and then we sat and watched the movie, and the movie was trash. It was awful.
No.
It was so bad. We were so embarrassed. And they were doing like a double showing, and we were supposed to play like 3 songs, including the song from the movie, beforehand, and then during the intermission before the second showing.
Oh.
And as soon as we got done with that intermission performance, I grabbed my drum tech and I was like, pack up, we're getting out of here. We are not staying for the second showing. This is embarrassing. It was so bad. And I've done a couple things like that where it's like a song that's been included in something. The only thing that I've specifically scored myself was a TV commercial for the New York Film Academy.
Oh, cool.
They wanted a percussion heavy score for this little like 1 minute commercial, or it probably wasn't even a minute long kind of thing. Yeah. But they wanted the entire soundtrack for that commercial to be percussion. So I've done that, but I've never, trying to think, I don't think I've ever specifically done something involving a horror movie directly like that outside of like a song placement thing. I'm not much of a songwriter myself. I don't really ever sit down with pen and paper and write or compose music at all. Mm-hmm. Mostly I'm just playing drums for somebody else's composition. Okay. I'm not opposed to it. Yeah. It's just not something I put much effort into, and you know, I'm not a very talented guitar player. So it's hard for me to sit down with a guitar and come up with something on my own. If I'm going to sit with a guitar, most of the time I'm just like playing generic blues chords or power chords or something like that, and just trying to not suck.
Yeah. I know that feeling. You know, whenever I think I'm gonna, I've got a musical inspiration. It's just like, oh yeah, I can't play.
yeah. That's kind of it. You know, I like some of the early bands I was in when I was younger and stuff like that. I contributed with some of the songwriting. I'd write some of the lyrics and stuff like that. I just kind of drifted away from that in lieu of more creative people doing it. Where, you know, if I hear something, I can give a suggestion. You know, if I'm in a room with other musicians and they're working a part out, and I hear something in my head, I can say, hey, try this. Or, you know what would happen if you played F minor there instead? Like, I have enough knowledge to be able to do that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm certainly not going to sit down behind the piano and compose anything. You know, I think there's more talented people that are better equipped for that. And those people can then turn around and present it to me, and I can say, okay, here's what you want to do with the drums now.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, that's part of the creative collaboration, you know, working with each other, you know, as a sounding board, so to speak. And you know, really, you know, coming up with this, you know, fantastic composition. And it's not unlike filmmaking or any other really, you know, creative, you know, platform.
Yeah, totally. Like, I'm not opposed to throwing my 2 cents in there when it's welcome.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'm not calling up any bands saying, hey guys, I wrote a song, you know? It'll be like Ringo, and they'll be like, we're going to put this on the refrigerator.
Right on the fridge, right?
This is going right on the fridge.
You did. Good there. Good.
Yeah, isn't that cute? The drummer wrote a song.
That's great. Oh. Poor. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Nick, we're just about out of time, but is there anything else that you wanted to talk about and plug? You know, where can people find you?
Well, all manner of social media and you know, internet, everything. If you look up Living Dead Drummer, you're going to find me. I guarantee there's nobody else with that, because if there is, they'd have a call from my lawyers. So I have a website, livingdeaddrummer.com. Obviously, you can get in touch with me through there. There's a direct email link. It goes right to me. And aside from the regular.com website, you know, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. Again, Living Dead Drummer. Just got to look that up and you're gonna find me.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm very, very easy to hunt down and easily accessible. So
nice. That's wonderful. Yeah, Nick, yeah, thanks for spending your afternoon with us and you know, chatting about all the fun things that you're doing.
Thank you very much for having me, man. This was a blast. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a great chat. I have like one question for you though, because
Okay.
the whole time we've been talking, like I'm trying to figure out what is this art stuff you have going on in the background behind you, because it looks like human skin. And I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a bunch of lampshades made out of people back there. I mean, it is from a horror festival, so
yeah, it's a horror festival. So I've been building my backdrop, and it's just you know, cast skulls with.
So it is faces. Okay, I couldn't quite tell. Some of them looked like it, but I'm like, it's also. Could it be like an ink blot thing where I'm just picturing what I want to in it? Am I the messed up one picturing faces?
No. You're not messed. Yeah, you're not messed up. Yeah, you're messed up. You're so messed up. No, but it's just latex cast. You know, skulls. It's got our little Colorado state flag insignia on them. But yeah, the fun thing is when you light it up, you know, yeah, it's got that creepy illumination.
Yeah. No, it looks so cool. I've been honestly. Not that I've not been paying attention, but I have been trying to figure out what that is behind you the whole time. And I'm like, it looks like skin.
Yeah.
It looks like lampshades made out of skin.
Yeah. My other shoulder, I've got Gorgo, big mural that I painted. And then, yeah, these guys are a lot of fun. Just
that's super cool.
Yeah. So, you know, the key is just don't paint it. Just hang it up like that. It looks like flash. I've built whole pinball you know, tournaments that are haunted houses, and the walls would be just sheets of latex like this, just what big, you know, 4x8 sheets just hanging.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, it looks like we skinned somebody massive.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just taking, you know, casting latex and rolling it out on a big, you know, flat surface and then peeling it off. And, you know, and the more ripped and thin it is, the more translucent and light flows through.
Yeah. So that's for the festival in September then?
Yeah, well, and because of COVID, we've postponed till next year. So so now this gets to be my my studio backdrop. And all our content will be going out online, much in a similar format like this. We're talking to Screen about doing some more stuff, hopefully online with film and all that. But yeah, you know, we're always open. You know, if you want to perform online,
you know, maybe figure something out. Do a DJ set or something, you know. As a drummer, it's a little difficult to do a solo performance. I'm not picking up a guitar and singing anytime soon, but I'm sure we can figure something out.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun. Not unlike you know, your Fugazi you know, cover, you know, where you got all the band members playing. I mean,
that's right. I've done a couple of those with different musicians. Some of them, like, I've never even met from other states and stuff too, where we record the parts kind of just like being in a recording studio and just send them to each other. Right. And, you know, someone who can edit it all together with their, you know, video editing software and stuff makes it look like we're all together or all, you know, on the Zoom call or something like that. Yeah, I've done a bunch of those. They've been fun.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, yeah, Nick, let me know if you know, you want a few of these.
That you know, might be kind of cool to hang in my studio and have up in the background, so when people are calling in and they're seeing me behind the drums, they'll be like, "What is that behind your drum set there?"
Oh, this is my other pastime.
Right? Yeah.
Down to the lambs.
You know, playing the drums and doing taxidermy. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, it's a thing. You know, it's pretty endearing.
Right.
Oh,
Man.
oh, that's wonderful. Well, thanks again, Nick. We'll have to have you on again pretty soon.
I would love it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Cool. Well, have a good one, everybody out there in the internet land. You guys have a great day, and look out for each other. Thanks so much, Nick. Again, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.